Following 11 operations and 14 months confined to a hospital, I sent a text, touching down at 10:20, gate 8. No response came. Nobody appeared. I waited by myself. Then my mother sent, the $4,800 for your sister's tuition is still due. 60 minutes on, a known SUV arrived. It wasn't my relatives, yet that individual transformed all. Immediately after, my phone rang relentlessly, 48 missed calls. You know that feeling when you fought your way back from hell, thinking the worst is over, only to realize the real battle is just beginning? Because after 11 brutal surgeries, after learning to walk again, I landed back home, expecting a hug, a welcome back. What I got instead? A stack of bills and the crushing realization that my own family saw me less as a person and more as their personal ATM. And when I finally said no, everything exploded. My name's Alex. I'm the oldest of 3, the default driver, the keeper of the family calendar, the password master, the one who carried a zip bag of receipts like a traveling clerk. I'm 29 and half a calf short on my left leg. 12 screws and a plate in my knee hums before it rains, like a cheap weather app. For 14 months, I spent every waking moment learning to be a person again. Hospitals, rehab, beeps for music, fluorescent lights for sunlight. I knew the exact sound of the 2 a.m. vitals check, the precise click of a night nurse trying and failing to be quiet. 11 surgeries. I could list them faster than my siblings could name state capitals. Everyone called me resilient. What they really meant was, I didn't die, and I was polite about it. The flight home landed early. Gate 8, Terminal B. My backpack dug into a tender place where skin met graft. My crutches tapped a slow, steady metronome on the tile floor. I found a seat near a charging station, a clean view of the pickup lane doors. The arrivals board flipped, a restless book of fleeting hellos. I breathed in the airport's specific aroma, coffee, damp clothes, and that sour tang of recycled air. I pulled out my phone, typed a quick text to the family chat, Fam Bam, a name that always felt like a sticker slapped over a massive crack. Landing at 10:20, gate 8. Blue bubbles. No reply. My stomach tightened. I told myself they were already in the car, circling. Mom's ringer was probably off. Mia was probably asleep. Josh was at practice, maybe. And Rick, my mom's husband? He was busy, which was his go-to excuse anytime a real conversation threatened to break out. People poured through those doors. Signs, flowers, hugs so fierce they made even strangers smile. Every time the glass door slid open, I did that half smile, the one that screams, I'm fine, not desperate. 20 minutes. 40. An hour. My phone battery sank. My knee throbbed, forecasting rain. A kid cried, hiccuped, then fell asleep on a suitcase. A TSA agent asked if I needed help. I'm good, I said. The lie came out clean. Practice makes perfect. Outside, headlights rotated. Trunks popped. Doors slammed. The pickup lane was a constant loop of quick, joyous reunions. My eyes scanned, desperate for our dented minivan, the one with the zip-tied bumper and faded soccer sticker. Nothing. Then, a Navy SUV rolled to the curb. Fog lights on, a dented wheel well like a dimple. It was familiar, but not family. The driver stepped out. Messy bun, coffee in one hand, tote bag in the other, and a face that says your name like a fact. Alex, she called through the glass. Nora, my hospital social worker. The woman who'd smuggled granola bars and boundaries into my life. She waved, a full-arm gesture that somehow said, I know where the scars are. She hugged me carefully. You look taller, she said, which is what you say to someone who's been rebuilt piece by piece. We didn't talk at first. The wipers squeaked. Rain started as dots, then turned to lines. The city smeared by in wet brick and red lights. I counted breaths, just like PT taught me. In 4, hold 2, out 6. They know, she asked finally, her voice soft. I texted, I replied. It sounded smaller than the monumental effort it had taken to even send that text. At the house, the porch light was off, even though the sky had turned to lead. The plastic flamingo in the flower bed lay face down, like it had fainted. Voices leaked from the living room, a TV laugh track, and Mom's low hum. Want to come in? Nora asked, hand on the gear shift. No, I said, my voice barely a whisper. I've got it. The front door stuck like always. The entry smelled like fried onions and lemon cleaner. I stood in the doorway, wet and metal, and waited for the line everyone imagines, but no one ever gets right. Mom looked up. Oh, she said, like I was early for an appointment. We were just about to text. Josh paused his game, but kept his headset on. Mia didn't even look up from her phone. Rick said, hey, champ, to the coffee table. I set my bag down. It left a wet snail trail on the tile. Mom waved a stack of envelopes. Good, she said briskly. You can explain these. I don't speak medical. Not, how are you? Not, we missed you. Just, explain these. The words hung between us like a switch. Paperwork. Something inside me, something deep down, just stood up. Before that truck ran the red light and met my left side, I was 2 jobs in a trench coat. Warehouse mornings, call center nights. I stretched checks like pizza dough, rent, groceries, Mom's copay, Mia's emergency books, Josh's cleats. Rick's weird week at work. I bought the big pack of toilet paper because no one else remembered until we had none. Family is family, Mom would say, which always meant, Alex will fix it. If I ever dared to say, I don't have it, she'd tilt her head and say, don't be ugly. Somewhere between ugly and ungrateful is where the money always appeared. My money. I didn't keep a ledger. Writing the numbers down made me angry, and anger made me feel guilty, and guilt made me tap, send, even faster. That was the system. They called it love. It felt like debt, with confetti. Then the accident. It folded my life in half. Metal, glass, sirens, white ceiling tiles. Someone saying my name like it belonged to another person. When I woke, a surgeon traced roads on my leg with his finger. Harvest. Graft. Fixation. 11 surgeries. 2 infections. A wound vac that gurgled. I learned to measure days by shift change and nights by the squeak of shoes. The first time Nora met my family, it was on speaker. I was lying flat, trying not to throw up from the meds. Mom cried. Rick exhaled professionally. Mia said, this is insane, like it was a plot twist from a show. Josh asked about the Wi-Fi. When the surgeon mentioned months, Mom said, we can't do this. We don't have money. Then quickly added, Alex, honey, we'll figure it out. Translation, Alex will. Someone had to sign forms. Someone had to call insurance. At first, Mom said, we. But we quickly turned into Alex, can you log in? They'd say something about a portal, then ask, what's that? Can you just talk to them? They use lingo. Lingo meaning English. Bills started arriving at Mom's because that address was still on my ID. She'd text pictures. These give me a panic attack, she'd type. Never should I bring them? When insurance denied a claim because box 14 wasn't checked, she sent a sad face emoji and fix this. I asked her to call once. She sent a screenshot of her Google Calendar, labeled, busy, 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 as if blocks on a screen could erase mine. I paid for my hospital bed. I whispered my card number to strangers named Priya, Jorge, and Steve. While the morphine made the numbers swim, I put my apartment rent on credit, for an apartment I barely remembered. I learned to ignore background music. I learned to ask for itemized bills. And most importantly, I learned that no lives in your mouth like a foreign word until you practice it. Nora taught me that practice. Try this, she'd say, feeding me lines like vitamins. I can't do that. That doesn't work for me. No. We said them out loud until my tongue stopped tripping. Boundaries sounded like arrogance at first. Then, they sounded like breathing. The day I rolled through the door after 14 months, Mom handed me a stack of mail like a baton. While you're at it, she added, as I peeled open an envelope. Mia's tuition is due. They won't extend again. I swallowed. Mom, I started, I can't. Her face roughened. Selfish, she said. Not loud, just heavy. We all make sacrifices. You're not special. Mia sent a Venmo request titled, Books Plus Fees. When I didn't accept in 10 minutes, she sent a question mark. 5 minutes later, Josh texted, gas just 20 this time, promise. Rick asked me to check the power bill. It's weird again. The family chat pinged with memes, my lab results, and prayers up, as if prayer could cover cash. I opened my bank app. The numbers glared. The red was loud. I closed it. In 4, hold 2, out 6, my phone vibrated again. Another request. My stomach went hot, then cold. Nora wheeled in during PT, iced coffee in hand, a folder tucked under her arm. Let's put the invisible on paper, she said. We printed 3 years of statements. We highlighted anything labeled family, house, tuition, utilities, emergency. The pages glowed like a hazard sign. This isn't random, she said. It's a funnel. It's family, I argued, because that's the word I'd built all my excuses around. Family is a system, she corrected. Yours runs on whoever bleeds quietly. I didn't argue. The math did it for me. Mom escalated on schedule. She lined the mail up like dominoes and asked again for tuition. We can't do this without you, she'd say, a threat disguised as a compliment. You know how the world works. As if knowing meant paying. The accident hadn't made them greedy. It had just made me unavailable. It exposed the fact that I'd been covering the holes for so long. They thought the floor was solid. At night, the hospital hummed, and I practiced saying no to the ceiling. I pictured the kitchen table. I pictured their faces. I pictured my own, new and steady. I rehearsed until the word didn't tremble. Asterisk not today. Not anymore. No asterisk the day the plane landed, and the Navy SUV pulled up instead of the minivan. I understood. The script wasn't going to change by itself. Love was not a payment plan. Tradition was not consent. Explain these, Mom said, waving the envelopes. And something inside me just clicked. I would explain. With numbers. With dates. With boundaries. And then, I would stop. 2 weeks home. The bruises had faded. The rules hadn't. I chose the kitchen table. That's where the deals had always been made. I set my laptop down, opened a spreadsheet, put a cheap calculator and a pen on top of a notebook, like props in a play. The house smelled like toast and lemon cleaner, and someone's floral perfume. Sweet. Heavy. Everywhere. Family meeting, I said. Silence. TV laughter. A controller clicking. Now I added. My own voice surprised me. Quiet, but not small. They trickled in. Mom, with a dish towel draped over her shoulder like a badge. Rick, cracking his knuckles like a metronome. Mia, in socks, thumbs busy on her phone. Josh, dragging a chair so it made that awful shriek. Ugh, what? Mia asked, exasperated. No drama, I said. Numbers. Mom sighed, as if lifting a couch. Alex, if this is about, it's about everything. I cut her off. I spun the laptop. Rows, columns, dates, amounts, labels. In blue, in green, in yellow, in orange, in purple, in gray. Rent transfers. Utility autopays. School portal receipts. Grocery runs that magically included their cards. Copays. A car repair for a car I don't even drive. The tuition deposit with the emoji note. You're the best. This, I said, my voice steady, is what I've paid for this family since I was 22. Mia snorted. Congrats on learning Excel. Rick leaned over the screen. Why keep score? Because when you don't, I said, people pretend the game isn't happening. Mom folded her arms. We aren't your enemies. I didn't say you were. I replied, keeping my tone level. I'm saying I can't be your bank. Her eyes sharpened. Excuse me. I'm done, I said. I won't pay Mia's tuition. I won't carry the power bill. I won't cover your cards. I'm taking my name off the utilities. I'm focusing on my recovery and my bills. Mia's cheeks went blotchy. So I just drop out? That's your plan. My plan, I said, looking directly at her, is that you talk to your advisor, apply for aid, take fewer classes, get a job. My plan is you being treated like the adult you say you are. Wow, she scoffed. You think you're better? Josh stared at his hands. I could pick up more shifts, he muttered quietly. Mom leaned in, her voice low and dangerous. After everything we've done for you? A roof, food, rides? I sat by your bed. I cried. And this is how you repay me. You asked for money while I was in that bed, I said. I didn't raise my voice. I slid a printed text across the table. This is from the day I landed. The one that read, still waiting on the $4,800 for your sister's tuition. Next to it, a photo of my hospital bracelet, still on. You sent this an hour after my plane touched down. Don't be theatrical, she snapped. Don't gaslight me, I said. Rick tried a soft tone. We can find a compromise, Alex. Here it is, I said. If anyone opens anything in my name, I will report it as fraud. If anyone harasses me for money, I will block them. If anyone shows up at my job, I will call security. I am moving out in 6 weeks. Before that, internet and power come out of my name by Friday. Mom stood so fast her chair scraped across the floor. You would do that to your mother? I would do that for myself, I said. I kept my hands flat on the table so they wouldn't shake. Mia lifted her phone. Group chat time, she announced. Everyone needs to hear how you're abandoning us. Great, I said, and typed first, so the record was clean. I won't be funding the household anymore. I'm focusing on recovery and my bills. Please direct money requests elsewhere. The bubbles exploded. Replies rolled in like hail. Alex, what about Mia? We did our best. Don't do this to your mother. Wow. Cole, call me now. You're nothing without family. Who helped you if not us? I dropped screenshots, bank transfers, utility receipts, the tuition text, the picture of the power bill with billing contact, Alex, under our address. Aggression, manipulation, humiliation, the trifecta. Mom's mouth flattened into a straight line. Get out, she said, her voice shaking. Right now. I will, I said. In 6 weeks. And any utilities are out of my name by Friday. Traitor, she whispered. Grown up, I said. For a second, the room held its breath. Then it exhaled. The ceiling didn't fall. The floor didn't open. Only one thing changed me. The call started that night. Unknown numbers. Aunties. A cousin I hadn't seen since high school suddenly just wanted to check in. 48 missed calls by morning. Voicemail stacked like bricks. Call me back. Your mother is devastated. Is this about that hospital woman? What about your sister? Don't do anything you'll regret. Family is all you have. I changed my ringtone to something quiet. I put the phone face down and let it buzz itself tired. When I finally picked up, it was Nora. You okay? She asked. I'm shaking, I said. Bad tracks, she said gently. You just moved the furniture in a house that glued the chairs to the floor. I think they hate me, I confessed. They hate that you're no longer a wallet, she clarified. Different thing. We made a plan, because plans make my brain quiet. I opened a new bank account. I moved what little I had. I set up 2-factor authentication. I froze my credit. I called the power company and the internet provider. Sat on hold through 3 loops of a flute cover of Don't Stop Believing and got my name off. I printed the confirmations and slid them into a folder labeled Air. I found a cheap room across town, in a house that smelled like basil and laundry. The landlady, Tanya, was a nurse who crushed her coffee beans and left notes like, Eat the peaches. My neighbor's tree went wild. The first night, I slept straight through. No cabinet doors slamming. No midnight, while you're up asks. No, my name said like an invoice. In the morning, the sun striped the wall through cheap blinds. For a second, I didn't know where I was. Then I did. It felt like solid ground after a long boat ride. I got a job answering emails for a logistics company that loved bullet points and hated phone calls. The pay was modest, and it was mine. I went to PT and did the boring exercises that don't look like progress in real time. I cooked for one. I didn't stretch dinner for four. I bought the fruit I wanted and didn't hide it in the back of the fridge. Mom escalated, of course. She called my job and told the receptionist there was a family emergency, so I'd be pulled from my desk. I'd warned HR. HR sent me a policy on harassment and a thumbs-up emoji, like a gold star for grown-ups. Mom posted a Facebook paragraph about kids who forget who fed them and tagged me. Under it, she commented, "Pray for us," as if prayer paid the power bill. Mia withdrew from a class, posted a story about toxic people on top of a latte photo, and launched a GoFundMe for education costs, which included self-care during finals. I did not donate. Josh texted me a picture of a gallon of milk and 2 boxes of cereal from the grocery store. Got a shift at the car wash, he wrote. It sucks. Most work does, I wrote back. Proud of you. He typed. Stop, typed. Mom says you're brainwashed. He sent. By what? I asked. Boundaries, he wrote. Then immediately, sorry. It's okay, I said. Boundaries aren't a cult. They're a fence with a gate. We met in a parking lot because he didn't want to be seen with me at home. He looked like a boy trying on a man's jacket. I'm mad at you, he said, but also not. I don't know. You're allowed to feel more than one thing, I said. He looked at my leg, like it might answer him. Does it still hurt? Yeah, I said, but less. Good, he said, and his mouth did a quick twitch that might become a smile one day. A week later, cousin Leah texted. Wedding next month. You in? No pressure. I want you there. Leah is the kind of person who keeps extra folding chairs in her trunk because she believes no one should stand. I went. I wore a suit that fit my new body and shoes PT approved. The hall was fairy lights and a playlist that tried too hard. I found a table near the back, knees comfortable, exit in sight. Mom spotted me, locked on like a heat-seeking missile. She came across the room with 2 aunties like backup singers. So you can show up for this, she said, smile tight, but not for your family? Hi, Mom, I said calmly. You look nice. Don't deflect, she snapped. Pay your sister's tuition. We'll drop the rest. I laughed. I couldn't help it. Drop the rest like charges? I asked. That's not how this works. Rick hovered behind her, hands in pockets, nodding like a dashboard bobblehead. Mia filmed, because of course she did. I pulled out my phone. I had prepared. Here's the confirmation that the utilities are out of my name, I said, showing the emails. Here's the freeze from all 3 credit bureaus. Here's my new bank, 2-factor on, Face ID locked. Here's the written notice to the landlord that I moved, with a reply. And here's a PDF of the statute that says opening credit in someone else's name is a crime. An aunt made a tiny bird noise. Mom's mouth flattened. You'll regret this, she said. I regret not doing it sooner, I said. Leah appeared beside me like a bouncer dressed as a bridesmaid. She was carrying a plate of sliders, like a peace treaty. Everyone good here? She asked, her voice soft, but with coarse steel underneath. We're fine, I said. We're practicing boundaries. Leah handed a slider to me and one to Mom. All hospitality photo booth that way, she told Mom. Bright as a bell, the filters forgiving. The aunties let themselves be steered by the promise of flattering light. That night, the calls spiked again. I silenced them, ate my slider like a raccoon in bed, and slept a full 8 hours. In the morning, Nora texted, proud of you. Coffee later. I wrote back, yes please. And the please was about want, not permission. Real life kept grinding. Bills in my name stopped arriving at my mother's. I moved my things in slow trips. Laundry basket, box of books, a mug that says, world's okayest sibling. I found my passport where it should have been, and my birth certificate where it wasn't. I took photos of everything and sent copies to my own email, because sometimes the best defense is a PDF. Mom pivoted from rage to martyrdom. We're surviving, she texted a cousin, in a screenshot someone else sent me, despite abandonment. She started a group chat without me called Real Family. A different cousin leaked screenshots when my name came up. Alex thinks they're better. Let them fall. They'll come crawling back. It stung that it didn't. Josh got more shifts. He sent me a picture of his first small paycheck with 3 exclamation points. Then deleted 2 and sent it again. Not much, he wrote, but it's mine. I stared at the screen and cried a clean cry that didn't taste like rage. A month in, I could go downstairs without thinking about each muscle by name. I could stand in the shower without panic. I could sit in a park with a coffee, watch a dog obsess over a pigeon, and not check my phone every 60 seconds. My days started feeling filled with things that were mine. Work, PT, 15 minutes where I just looked out a window and didn't fix anything. Mom tried one more play. She called my job and told the receptionist there was a family emergency and that they had to put me through. The receptionist, trained and unimpressed, took a message. HR slid by later, gave me a thumbs up, and said, if she keeps calling, we'll block the number. I nodded and printed the policy like a talisman. 2 months after Gate 8, I went back to the airport to pick up a friend. I stood where I'd stood before, by the charging station, and watched doors open and close. The Navy SUV wasn't there. Nora was busy helping someone else learn to say no. The minivan wasn't there either. Families reunited around me. with signs and flowers and signs. I didn't flinch. I checked the arrivals board. I sent one text. I'm here. My friend came through and ran at me with a stupid poster in tears. I laughed. It didn't hurt. The next night, Mom called. I let it go to voicemail. The internet bill came, she said, her voice smaller than I'd ever heard it. And it's not in your name anymore. How did you do that? She sounded like someone who had just found out the ocean is big. I texted back the customer service link. No lecture, no fight, just information. She replied with a single "t." It felt like a truce, drawn in pencil. Here's what I know now. You can love your family and still stop financing their denial. You can leave a house without leaving yourself. You can be the oldest and still start over. The click didn't happen at the kitchen table, or at the wedding, or in the family chat flood of guilt. It happened on a Tuesday. My knee was quiet. The blinds made lines on the wall. I ate toast standing up. The phone buzzed. I didn't jump. I finished my toast. I washed the plate. Then I checked, because I chose to, not because I had to. It was a photo from Josh of a plant on his windowsill. Try to keep something alive, he wrote. Any tips? Light, I sent back. Water. Don't overdo either. He replied, boundaries for plants, LOL. Exactly, I wrote. And it wasn't a metaphor forced into shape. It was just true. Mom still posts. Mia still throws word shuriken from her phone. That's their weather. Mine is different. I do the boring exercises that keep me walking. I answer emails and make the rent I earned. I track my own bills and watch the numbers stack like small bricks in a wall that keeps rain out. I call friends who ask about my day instead of my wallet. I buy peaches and eat them in the park without hiding the pit like contraband. Sometimes I pass gate A in my head. I don't stand there waiting for a bumper held up by zip ties and a hug that never lands. I see the Navy SUV pull up again, hazard lights blinking like a heartbeat. I hear my name said like a fact. I remember that help is real, even when it doesn't look like the people you thought would offer it. If you need a moral, here's mine. I'm not an ATM. I'm a person. I don't owe anyone my life to prove I'm good. I don't set myself on fire to keep other people warm. My phone still rings. Sometimes I answer. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I say, no, that doesn't work for me. And then I go outside, feel the air, and let the day be quiet. The metal in my knee still hums before rain. It's not a warning anymore. It's a forecast. I close the windows. I make tea. I text the people who show up. I'm inside. I'm warm. So, tell me, have you ever had to draw a hard line with family, even when it felt like you were tearing everything apart? What was that moment like for you? I really want to know your stories.